If I have a choice between learning 4 scales or learning 1 scale and getting the same result, I'm gonna go with 1. Not that I'm lazy or anything. So if you want to learn how to kill 4 chords with 1 scale, watch on. When you learn how to improvise over sophisticated chord progressions, like jazz standards for example, people tend to throw a bunch of different scales at you and tell you to learn and practice them in all 12 keys. Among those are likely to be the altered scale, the Lydian dominant scale, and the Locrian sharp 2 scale. Those are 3 of the most widely used scales in jazz improvisation, and all 3 of them are modes of the melodic minor scale. So in this video I'm gonna try to convince you to make life easier for yourself by only practicing the melodic minor scale and then applying it to 4 different chords rather than practicing 4 different scales that all contain the same notes anyway. Here's a C melodic minor scale. And here's an F Lydian dominant scale. Notice that they both contain the same 7 pitches. The only difference is the starting note. The C melodic minor scale runs through this series of notes from C to C, and the F Lydian dominant scale runs through them from F to F. So instead of thinking of F Lydian dominant as a separate scale, we can just think of it as the 4th mode of the C melodic minor scale. Whenever I need to play Lydian dominant over a given chord, in this case F7, I just go up a perfect 5th from the root of that chord and play melodic minor from there. Lydian dominant is most commonly used to play over dominant chords that do not resolve up a 4th, which traditionally is the expected resolution of a dominant chord. Dominant chords that don't resolve up a perfect 4th are usually extended with a natural 9 and or a sharp 11 and or a natural 13. An example would be F13 sharp 11 resolving down a half step to E major 7. In this case I would think C melodic minor over the F7 chord and E major scale over the E major 7 chord. Here's an example of how I would use this in an F7 to E major 7 progression. Here's a B altered scale. And once again, these are the exact same notes as the C melodic minor scale. So whenever I need to play an altered scale over a given chord, in this case B7, I just think up a half step from the root of the chord and then play melodic minor from there. The altered scale contains all possible alterations: flat 9, sharp 9, sharp 11 and flat 13. It sounds best on dominant chords that resolve up a 4th to either major or minor. For example, B7 altered resolving to E minor 7. In this case I would think C melodic minor over the B7 chord and E Dorian over the E minor 7 chord. Here's an example of how I would use this in a B7 altered to E minor 7 progression. Here's an A Locrian sharp 2 scale. And once again, these are the exact same notes as the C melodic minor scale. So whenever I need to play a Locrian sharp 2 scale over a given chord, in this case A minor 7 flat 5, I just think up a minor 3rd from the root of that chord and then play melodic minor from there. Locrian sharp 2 is one of 2 options we have for improvising over minor 7th fret 5 chords, the other one being regular Locrian. It is a very colorful choice and should be used with some discretion. For example, in the 2-5 progression A minor 7 flat 5 to D7 altered, I would think C melodic minor over the A minor 7 chord and E flat melodic minor over the D7 altered chord. Here's an example of how I would use this in an A minor 7 flat 5 to D7 altered progression. And of course, the melodic minor scale itself is used very often in jazz improvisation, especially on tonic minor 6 or minor major 7th chords. It's also handy on subdominant minor chords like 4 minor 6 or 4 minor major 7 in a major key. Here are my top 3 reasons why I do what I've just described. Number 1, it's much more efficient. I can dedicate, say, 20 minutes to practicing 1 scale with 1 fingering instead of just 5 minutes each to practicing 4 different scales with potentially different fingerings. Secondly, I get more interesting melodic results without having to work hard. For example, it's easy for me to hear melodies that use the first 5 notes of a minor scale. I've played and heard thousands of melodies in my life that use those notes. Now, it's not super fancy if I play this over a C minor chord, but if I play the same notes over a B7 altered chord, it sounds pretty hip. Mind you, I'm still thinking and hearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a C minor scale, but what the audience hears is flat 9, sharp 9, 3, sharp 11, flat 13, relative to the underlying B7 chord. And number 3, licks. Instead of conceiving of and practicing melodic language for the altered scale and the Lydian dominant scale and the Locrian sharp 2 scale, I simply work on melodic minor language and apply that to the other scales. Any lick or melodic fragment derived from the melodic minor scale will work just as well over dominant sharp 11 chords and minor 7 flat 5 chords and altered chords. Here's one other major benefit of this system. I can take voicings derived from the melodic minor scale, like this C minor 6 voicing, and then play the exact same voicing for the 3 related chords, F7, A minor 7 flat 5, and B7 altered. So once again, instead of learning and practicing different voicings for these 4 chords, I just think of it as a cluster of melodic minor voicings, which I then apply to all of them. This works equally well with two-handed voicings like this one. There's 2 ways you want to approach practicing all this. One is to memorize each group of 4 chords and scales that are derived from the same melodic minor scale. I've used C melodic minor throughout this video, so that group would be C melodic minor, which is played over C minor 6 or C minor major 7 chords, F Lydian dominant, which is played over F7 sharp 11 chords, A Locrian sharp 2, which is played over A minor 7 flat 5 chords, and B altered, which is played over B7 altered chords. Remember that even though I'm aware that I'm technically dealing with 4 different modes, what I'm actually practicing and then applying to my improvisations is just one scale. Melodic minor, the OG, the top dog, the big kahuna. To drive home the point, here's another group, this time based on the D melodic minor scale. D melodic minor, which is played over D minor 6 or D minor major 7 chords, G Lydian dominant, which is played over G7 sharp 11 chords, B Locrian sharp 2, which is played over B minor 7 flat 5 chords, and C sharp altered, which is played over C sharp 7 altered chords. The other way I would approach this is to really internalize the relationship between each of the modes to its parent melodic minor scale. Pick one of the scales, let's say the altered scale, and practice thinking up a half step from the root of any given altered dominant chord to get to the matching melodic minor scale. For example, to play over C7 altered, go up a half step from C and play a C sharp melodic minor scale. To play over E7 altered, I go up a half step from E and play an F melodic minor scale. To play over G7 altered, I go up a half step from G and play an A flat melodic minor scale. And so on. Here's the same concept applied to Lydian dominant. I know that the parent melodic minor scale is a perfect fifth up from the root of a dominant sharp 11 chord. So to play D Lydian dominant, I go up a fifth and play A melodic minor. To play E flat Lydian dominant, I go up a fifth from E flat and play B flat melodic minor. Wow, that was a lot of very nerdy intel. And it may seem super complicated at first, but I promise you that spending the time on the front end to wrap your head around this will save you so much time and give you better results on the back end. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.